Hello, everyone. Do you know what happened yesterday? We did it. We did it. We hit 100,000 viewers. Well, not really viewers, but views. And I know what you guys are saying. Most of them did come from shorts. But if we are only counting real video views, we got 15,000 approximately. And this is just after a bit over a month of uploading and posting and everything else. And I'm so thankful to everyone who helped me and supported me along the way. I've reached out to the entire community on Discord and everything else, and I'm so thankful. So as a gift, I'll give you the part 2 of this part 3 alternate history miniseries. So it's basically a miniseries in a series. It's the alternate election history series. If you have not watched the first episode of the miniseries, go watch that. It really didn't take off, but maybe this one will. So just to catch you up, 1992, Ross Perot, in our first episode of the miniseries, Ross Perot won the 1992 presidential election. Now he's running for another term. But here's the thing. Republicans are scared that they're going to split the vote due to some loss of popularity for Perot. And they're scared that they're going to split the conservative vote and take that away from Perot. And they're afraid that Bill Clinton is going to win. So they did not nominate a candidate and told everyone to vote for Perot. So the Republicans basically just nominated, but kind of just endorsed Ross Perot for this one. So now let's start filling in this map. Let's start with the safe states. These are states that Perot is confident in. He really doesn't need to campaign here. It's basically the Midwest. The Midwest, Perot is really good in, and Indiana, because this isn't about how much a vote Perot gets. This is about how much does Dole win by. So all these safe, likely lean states should pretty much go to Perot, because most of these Dole voters, well, almost all of them, are going to go and vote for Perot. But there is not many other safe states except for Maine, where Perot does phenomenal in, and Alaska. Alaska is extremely independent. But yeah, those are all the safe Perot states. Really all safe Dole states. Switch. But now let's do the safe Democratic states. These are Illinois. I'm also going to put in Arkansas, Louisiana. Perot is really bad in the South. But southern states that Dole won, are going to go to Perot by some amount, maybe likely or lean, if those are already likely. But we'll talk about that when we get to the likely states. New Mexico, I think, will go to Clinton by a safe margin, as well as New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and D.C., as well as Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Yeah, I mean, sure, Perot did get over 20% of the vote in these states in 1992, but come on, are these people actually going to vote for Perot over than Bill Clinton? I mean, they're still voting for Clinton. Even though Perot got over 20% of the vote in 1992, sure, but they're still going to vote for Clinton. But now let's move on to the likely states. We'll start off with the likely Perot states, or let's just say the likely reform states. We have Arizona. Arizona, it did go to Dole. It went to Bush in 1992. And although it did go to Clinton by 2.2 points, I think Perot will be able to pull it off here by a pretty good margin, because I feel like Perot is just more appealing to Arizonans than Bob Dole, sorry. And yeah. So Nebraska's first district, it went to Dole by over 12 points. I'm actually going to throw that into safe reform territory. I also I also feel like that these two likely states, Mississippi and Alabama, that Dole won, although they're in the South, and Perot did absolutely abysmal here in 1996 and 1992. Uh, Dole should be able to. Sorry, no. Perot should be able to carry these two states by likely margins. Uh, Now let's go to um, the likely Democratic states. These are going to be ones that, sure, Perot might have gotten a lot of the vote, but uh, they they still vote for Democrats. Like you can add the vote uh for Perot and Dole, and they still don't beat Clinton. These are states like that. We'll put Washington, Iowa, Missouri, uh, and Connecticut. I don't think Connecticut, even though in 1992, Perot got over 20% of the vote. Connecticut going for Perot is just not possible. I also think Tennessee is going to go blue, um, by a likely margin. Sure, Dole did come close to winning this state. I feel like some of those Dole supporters and enough of those Dole supporters are going to stay at home and not vote for Clinton to pull off a likely victory, more than 2.4 points. I also think that uh, Michigan is going to go likely blue as well as Pennsylvania. Because if we look, Michigan went to uh, uh, Clinton by over 13 points. Pennsylvania went to Clinton by over 9 points. And sure, you can add Perot and Dole's totals. I'm actually going to throw Pennsylvania into lean. Sorry, but Michigan, you can add those totals. Sure, it's a less of a victory, but I feel like once again, enough Dole supporters are going to stay at home and not vote for it to become a likely victory margin. But now let's go to the leading states. This is where Perot does phenomenal. Uh, Already a state that Dole won by almost 5 points. Texas. This is Perot's home state. He carries it by a lean margin. 32 electoral votes. That's massive. Another state is going to be South Carolina and North Carolina. These two states, they both went to Dole by good margins. And Perot, I feel like he is going to be able to carry these uh, by lean margins. And yes, Dole supporters are going to stay at home, but I feel like uh, definitely not enough for Clinton to actually pull off a victory. In Oregon and Nevada, these are states that Clinton did win, but we can add some of these totals. Uh, Especially in Nevada, if you add 42.91 and 9.47, that is above Clinton's by basically like 7-8 points. And in Oregon, you can add those, and sure, it becomes likely. But Oregon, I think it's an exception because Oregon, I feel like there's enough of these voters, of these more independent voters. I feel like it's just enough because of Biden right now. And yes, It's gonna be really stupid because Oregon has trended a lot, but I feel like Dole, Perot, they can get over 1% in Oregon. I feel like Clinton could lose a lot of support. And remember, Perot is an incumbent, so I feel like Perot wins it by like 2 points, maybe. Now let's go to Colorado. Colorado was won by Dole by 1.4 points, and Perot didn't do that bad in Colorado either. So I feel like Colorado, it's going to go lean. Okay. Now let's do New Hampshire. New Hampshire was won by Clinton, but remember, Perot got over 20% of the vote here, and New Hampshire is extremely independent. And Dole, he didn't do that shabby here either. So if you do add up those totals and also include the fact that Perot's an incumbent, New Hampshire can definitely go to Perot. Now let's do the lean Democratic states. I already did Pennsylvania. I explained that one before, but we'll also add Ohio and West Virginia. And yeah, Ohio and West Virginia. Ohio, I feel like not enough. Uh, sure you can add Perot in Dole's margins, and that will be higher than Clinton's. And in West Virginia, uh, Clinton will still be above. Uh, but if I even do include the fact that Perot is an incumbent in West Virginia, that will still be leaned. In Ohio, I just feel like Ohio is too blue right now. In 1996, and again, those Dole supporters, I feel like they're not that passionate about Perot in these places in the Midwest, because Perot never did really that good here either. So I feel like they're not going to be that passionate and actually go out and vote for them. So I feel like that's why Ohio and West Virginia are going to be lean. Now let's do the final states. These are going to be the tilt states. California for Perot. I know this is actually crazy, right? Clinton won the state by almost 13 points in 1996. Dole, you can add these totals up and Clinton will be up. But remember, California is a state. California is a state that can be truly shocking sometimes. California voters, they kind of vote always for the incumbent. Like, we can go to 1992. Oh, okay. Well, let's not talk about that. But I feel like the Perot is going to do well in California, because uh those voters, those Dole voters, I feel like the ones that are going to be less passionate are the ones who know that they're going to lose the state no matter what. But I feel like Dole supporters here, they're going to go full out in California because they know this is a state that they need to win. Because if they kind of lose it right now, they lose the election. So I feel like Perot's campaign will just pull through in California. They're going to point out the radical policies of Bill Clinton and the Democrats. So yeah. Oh, I did forget to put Hawaii into that safe column for Democrats. Sorry for that. But now let's do the final tilt states. Let's start with Florida. Sorry, not start because we already did California. But Clinton did win the state by 5.7 points. I feel like it will. Uh, Clinton will get around the same amount. And Perot, if we add Perot and Dole's totals, that will be higher than Clinton's. But remember, some of those Dole supporters are going to stay at home, as always. So that's why I think the result is going to be so close in Florida. Now let's go to Kentucky. I feel like Kentucky is going to tilt Republican. Sorry, not tilt Republican. Tilt Ross Perot. Clinton did win the state by less than 1%. But if we add Perot and Dole's totals together, that will be much higher than Clinton's. So I do feel like it's going to be close, but Perot does pull it off here. Now let's go to Wisconsin and Minnesota. Wisconsin, you can add these two states, Perot and Dole, 38.48, Perot 10.35. There you go, right? That's a teeny bit higher uh, than Clinton's. This is probably going to be the closest state. Uh, and yeah, Wisconsin is going to go to Rossboro by a tilt margin. I actually did forget to put Minnesota into likely. I don't know why I thought it was going to be close. I forgot to do that. But Minnesota is going to go into likely. But Georgia's a really interesting one. Dole only won it by 1.2 points. Georgia is a southern state where Perot is really bad in, remember. But then these Dole supporters do go for Perot, right? Well, I think some of them do respect Bill Clinton more because he is a true Southerner, and maybe they just think Perot's too much of a centrist, and they just want to be aligned with someone. So I feel like Bill Clinton does carry the state by a tilt margin. Now let's end things off with Virginia, Virginia and Vermont, which I think they are both going to go for Perot. This is why, because come on, uh, Dole already won Virginia, right? That's pretty obvious. But Vermont, I think Perot and Dole, they're going to unite, right? And Perot is really good in Vermont. You can look at 1992. Perot got 22.78%. And I feel like Perot is going to attract a pretty big amount of those Clinton supporters, way more than other states, to make uh, Vermont go for Perot. And at the end of this all, Ross Perot narrowly wins re-election by only 10 electoral votes and probably less than 1 or 2% in the popular vote. So, part 3 is coming soon, and here's a little sneak peek. Donald Trump, it will be included in the final episode of the miniseries. Perot's vice president all along, I never really said this, but Perot's vice president, Donald Trump of the Reform Party, will be running in the year 2000. It'll probably come out in a week, maybe two. But yeah, I hope you liked this video. Thank you for 100,000 views. And stay out and stay watching for the next and final part of this series.